introduction of mine. Vibha, you have competition right now for introducing me. Okay, so just FYI, it's going to be between two of you now. All right. So thank you so much, Toastmaster Srinivasan. And before I start off, I want to say a big thank you to Toastmaster Jiji for inviting me to do the education session. I did not debate even for a single second whether I should do it because A, Jiji was really nice to have invited me almost a month back, so I can't make excuses to back out of it. And most importantly, he is somebody who has helped me quite a lot in my leadership journey. So why am I already in red timer? But anyway, leave that. Are you bored of me already? You have to listen to me for at least half an hour now. Anyway, so before we start, let me just share my screen. All right, Toastmaster Vibha, can you see my screen? Okay, perfect. All right. So let's start this thing. Like Toastmaster Srinivasan rightly said, the focus of this is going to be the fact that we're going to have a debate contest soon. So every division in District 105 is going to have a debate contest, division I, K, J, L, all the alphabets, right? So my objective in the next half an hour is, first of all, to ensure that you don't go back to sleep because it's a Friday morning, I'm well aware of it. And secondly, it is to ensure that not to ensure whether you become good at debating. That is not my concern at all over the next 30 minutes. If you really want to be good at debating, probably you should watch some Oxford Union YouTube videos, or probably you should debate more with your partner, your family, your parents, and you will have enough people to debate on. Or worst comes to worst, you just need to debate on how amazing Vibha's hair is. Say that it's not that good looking and you will get a half an hour session from her. So you will definitely have debating practice. But the objective of this next 30 minutes is to ensure that you guys know how to win a Toastmasters debate contest. What exactly do you need to do to win it? To get to the top three, after that it is anybody's game. But at least the basic, like what Srinivasan said, the admin and password on how to get there. So once again, I repeat, you will not be learning how to become a master debater, but by the end of the 30 minutes, you will learn how to win a Toastmasters debate. Okay, let's start things off. All right, Dr. Seema, has the screen changed? Can someone tell me if the screen has changed? I just need to get a confirmation. All right, thank you.
Yes, it is.
All right. So divide this session is 30 minutes, okay? To make the session effective, what I would request is, since there are only 30 minutes, if you have any questions, please put it in the chat section. I will only be answering questions which is mentioned in the chat, because I don't want to extend time and end up taking the time from the debate as well as Srinidhi's amazing evaluation that is going to follow. So if you have any questions, please put it in the chat and we will take it up in the future. First and foremost, since many of you have not been part of a Toastmasters debate, I will spend 3 to 4 minutes on what exactly is the structure of the debate. Okay. Then the most important section, if there is anything that you can take out of the section, is the judges ballot. So I will be spending time on that and what each role player has to do. If you are able to understand the judges ballot and the role player characteristics, this education session has been effective. Now, one of my most favorite debates that I've had as a kid was final exams should be cancelled when I was in 11th standard, when I felt that final exams should not be cancelled because, to be honest, I was a big nerd back then. Nothing has changed much, but I said the final exam should not be cancelled, and the entire 29 of them said that it should be cancelled. I lost that debate badly. Why? Because I did not know Toastmasters back then, right? So debate is not a platform where you can use your emotion, you can sound loud, you can give an education speech, international speech, and you can woo the audience. No. Debate is a place where you argue with facts, figures, and logic. If you have somebody who's writing notes, write it in big letters, facts, figures, and logic. I'll give you 3 seconds to write that. Facts, figures, and logic, nothing else. If you have judges who are worth their salt, they will not get wooed by your flamboyant words or the great English that you use. It will only be based on what you present and the content that you have. So final exams should be cancelled. We'll come to that at a later point of time. But first, like I promised, let's have a look at the structure and the framework. Every team, guys, will have 3 role players. First one is going to be the opening speaker, the rebuttal speaker, closing. Okay. Now, to those who have already seen debates in the past, it might sound boring to you, but there are people who have not been part of a debate, so we have to say. The opening speaker is like the Virender Sehwag, the opener of the team. He starts things off and he explains the team's motion and gives why he believes that, let's say that final exams should not be cancelled. Let's say you're against the motion, okay? Because I'm still against the motion, by the way. So let's say that you're doing, then you will say first reason, second reason, third reason. So all your job is to present the case. Then you have the rebuttal speaker. The rebuttal speaker's job is only to oppose the points that were said by the opening speaker of the other team. And last but not the least, because most Toastmasters have the attention span of a goldfish, we need a closing speaker to just come and summarize the points and tell the judges, hey, listen, we have done our homework, we have done what needs to be done, please give our team points. So that's the role of the closing speaker. So there are 2 sides, one is affirmative and one is negative. I'll quickly go on to the speaking order, which is very simple, guys. The first speaker who speaks is going to be the opening speaker for the team speaking for the motion. And obviously the second speaker is going to be the opening speaker for the team speaking against the motion. No rocket science there. After that, the next speaker who speaks, mind you, is the rebuttal speaker of the team speaking against the motion, because we need to give some time for the rebuttal speaker speaking for the motion to rebut the points that was said by the opening speaker of team affirmative. So after that, it's a rebuttal speaker, closing speakers then speak. Okay, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I don't want to spend too much time on this because anyway, I'll be sharing the presentation with all of you. You can go through the sequence at a later, and also we will be having a mock debate as well to see that happening. Okay. So this is the structure and framework. I hope there are no questions. If there are any questions, please put on the chat section. Okay. All right then. Now the most important part of it, the judges ballot. Now I repeat to all the teams that I mentor, your job is not to woo the 100 to 150 people who may come for the debate session. I'm not saying don't care about them, don't add value in their lives, but the point here is you're here to win it. You should make it in your mind that if you're entering a Toastmasters debate contest, you're going to give it your all to win it. And to win it, you need to ensure that you do not please 100 people, but rather you just please the 8 to 10 people called the judges. That's it. Not even the chief judge, only the voting judges. That is get your priorities right. And if it is any judge worth their salt, like I keep saying, remember that content is 70% of the debate. 70%, and delivery, which is basically your vocal variety and your way you do it, is only 30%. Okay, so let's look at it in detail. When we say content, guys, okay, a debate is not rocket science, and we will go through it in the role player characteristics. There is a very simple formula which I have seen that the winning teams have perfected to the max. It is basically a fill in the blanks competition, nothing else. A structure of a debate of an opening speaker and a rebuttal, and especially the closing speaker, is very, 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 very structured. So if you do that, you have already won like 30 to 40% of the points. So your job is to ensure that your debate content that you have, if you're writing down notes, is structured, okay, well organized, and has enough supporting material from relevant sources. Fourth point, make sure that your points are believable. I always give this example of a debate when I saw my first debate in 2014 for ICDC in Division J, where one person went on stage and said that 90% of the Indian population is below the poverty line. Okay, I know that there are people below the poverty line, but don't exaggerate by saying 90% is below. So have points which are believable. That's important. Lastly, how effective are you? Were you able to communicate the points in such a way that I, as a judge, believe that final examination should be cancelled? Okay, so content 70. How do you organize the debate? How good are your points? How well have you mixed supporting facts into it? Did you have points which are believable and logical? And how effectively did you communicate those points? Okay, then we have delivery. Now, just because I said, that delivery is not that important doesn't mean that you ignore it completely. Have a little bit of vocal variety. Don't exaggerate too much, but have a little bit of vocal variety and be enthusiastic about your topic. Stand for your topic. Show that you really believe that final examination should not be cancelled. That is important. And then you have the 10%, which is grammar, pronunciation, and having looked at the audience in this, I'm sure that all of you are easily going to get at least 8 or 9 out of this. So not worried about that at all. But if there is one takeaway from this, focus on the content, make it structured, organized with good supporting material, believable, and ensure that there is enough effectiveness when you deliver the points. Don't forget about delivery, but do not focus on it too much. Okay? Srinivasan, did you understand anything that I said? Okay, fine, good. Right, so now let's look at the role player characteristics. Okay, now the opening speaker, I'll quickly just put all the points on the screen because we don't have time. Okay, the opening speaker, guys, is who I would call the Virendra Sehwag. Now, anyone of you who knows cricket knows about the fact that Virendra Sehwag used to be a fearless opening batsman who in the first 10 overs used to score, let's say, 80 runs or 100 runs, and it makes very easy for the other, debaters to take it forward. You are the captain of the team. You are the star of the team where you show with great enthusiasm in the beginning, my God, this is a team who has done their homework, who knows what they're talking about. There is great coordination between the team. He believes in the stand and he has told amazing points. So make sure that your captain is somebody who is, you're not captain technically, your opening speaker is someone who's enthusiastic and who is well prepared for the debate. Okay, so your job is to present the case with facts, figures, and logic, nothing else. Emotions, personal examples, etc. will not be that effective in a debate because you're supposed to stick to only research material. So what do? First and foremost, don't boil the entire ocean. Okay, your job is to give a 3-minute speech. So stick to 3 points. Stick to 3 points. That's it. Okay. For each and every point, make sure that you have research and statistics. Why? Because anything without a research, if the rebuttal speaker can say, where is the research and statistics for that? It's as simple as saying that statement. You're literally giving fodder to the rebuttal speaker to rebut you. Okay, and also ensure that you reiterate the topic at regular intervals. This is mostly like the power of repetition so that it shows that you really believe in your stand. So your job is to have a well-structured speech in the very beginning, and how to do that is something which I'm going to tell you. Okay, so just 1 second. Let's say that we have a topic called should final exams be cancelled? So let's say we start off with, ladies and gentlemen of the house, the topic of our debate is final exams should be cancelled, and we as a team would like to present our case against the motion. That's it. Don't reinvent the wheel or anything. All you have to do is just say that 2 lines to start things off. Then say, first and foremost, let's look at the points. For example, you can say that final exams help students effectively manage pressure. Okay, state your point, state why you believe that. For example, it helps students to work hard and effectively ensure that whatever happens in their life, they're able to manage that pressure also really well. So state your point, state your reason, state your research, reiterate that point once again, and close. So 5 to 6 sentences is all that you need. So if you're writing it down, for every point, guys, state your point. It helps children effectively manage pressure. Why do you believe that? Because they have to study a lot within a limited amount of time, and they know how to reproduce that in limited amount of time. That is your reason. Then state your research. For example, it can be a research study by Harvard, Stanford, or a research paper by a renowned organization, a recent research study. Make sure that it is done. Then after that, reiterate. And this is why we believe that final examinations help effectively manage pressure and should not be cancelled. That's it. 5 to 6 sentences for each and every point. So you say first and foremost, so and so. Second and foremost, let's say it helps in time management. Thirdly, it enhances the learning of a child. So after you say those 3 points, guys, say, based upon the above facts, research, and examples, we request the members of the House to unanimously reject the motion that final examination should be cancelled. That's it. So it is basically like a fill in the blanks exercise where you have your structure and you just fill points here and there. Okay. Now, a few points which I want to state is, number one, don't take a middle ground. That means don't say like, okay, I do say that in some cases, final examination should be cancelled, but after 5th standard, maybe you can not, you should cancel. No one asked you that. Should it be cancelled, yes or no? Your job is to say no and give your points. Don't have a middle ground, okay? Last but not the least is something which my mentor, who's also here, Toastmaster Sandeep, he has always told me, when you prepare the opening speech, some people make the mistake of thinking about what the rebuttal speaker is going to say. Don't bother much. Their job is, even if you do a Shashi Tharoor or a Barack Obama speech, they are still going to find loopholes in that speech. So let them do their job. Do not be afraid of the rebuttal. Be confident, give an effective speech, and you're good to go. All right. Then we have the rebuttal speaker. Now, rebuttal speaker is, you can say something like the most fun person in the whole debate. Okay. I like being the rebuttal speaker, even though I'm not that great at it. The rebuttal speaker is somebody whose job, guys, is very simple. All you have to do is listen very carefully to what the opening speaker of the opposing team. So if you're writing notes, write down, listen carefully. Active listening is one of the projects in Pathways. That is very important. Secondly, okay, you need to be someone who can write fast. Now, most of us don't write, so it will be nice if you can just take a piece of paper and just write your icebreaker or something. Just write it down, because you need to learn the art of effectively writing down points. Then you look at your scribbled handwriting, and then you decide, this is nonsense, this is nonsense, this is nonsense. You select 3 nonsensical points that was told by the opening speaker, and then literally with a gentle amount of ridicule, very gentle amount of cheeky humor, you rebut the points that were said by the meaning the opening speaker of the opposite team. So my advice is, respond to at least 3 points. Now, that's not something which my mentor usually does. He usually rebuts 1 or 2 points and does it effectively. But I believe try to stick to 3 points. Okay. Very important point. Write this down. If you are the rebuttal speaker of the affirmative team, do not rebut the points that was stated by the rebuttal speaker of the negative team. Okay, because you will be the 4th speaker in the sequence, right? You will get a chance to hear the speaker, the rebuttal speaker of the team speaking against the motion. He doesn't exist in your life. If you want, put those ear mufflers and just completely forget about him. He does not, you don't need to bother about that. Only focus on the points that were stated by the opening speaker of the opposing team. That's it. Next thing is, when you're rebutting points, it really adds a lot of value if you can quote verbatim what the opening speaker said. So you can probably write it down and just say that, okay, you stated that it creates a lot of tension in the minds of the students, but we believe that. So you can, if you quote it exactly, it makes a lot of sense. Last but not the least, be confident, Don't be pressurized by, oh my God, I have to do a great job because I'm the star of the team. Be normal, be natural, and try to do the best that you can. Don't make direct ridicule, as in like make the thing that you're at. So one of the things which I did in one of the debates was I said, I cannot believe the absolute poison that was spewed by my opposing speaker. Don't say statements like that. Just be very careful, be nice, but don't be too nice as well. Okay. Don't forget, guys, do not add any new points. Okay, it's the job of the opening speaker to state the team's facts. Don't add any new points unless you're directly rebutting any points that were said by the opposing speaker. Okay, you can add new points, but only to rebut. Not, don't say, okay, my opening speaker did not have time, I have one more point which the team did not agree, but I'm going to say it during my rebuttal. Don't. Let the opening speaker do his or her job, you do your job. Then comes the closing speaker. Now the closing speaker is what I would call, if you guys are football fans, he is what you call, if you're a Liverpool fan, he's a Jordan Henderson of the team. So Jordan Henderson is a footballer who, he doesn't score goals, he doesn't do assists, but he's the most underrated player, but he keeps the team together. Now the closing speaker is something like that. Trust me, if anyone in Area 41 wants to win the debate, the thing in the semifinals and finals, which defines whether you get first, second, or third, is the closing speaker. If you need proof, ask Toastmaster Jiji, who is a fantastic, the area director is a fantastic closing speaker. A closing speaker determines between whether you will win the contest or you don't. But as a closing speaker, guys, please do not reinvent the wheel. It's a very structured point that you can say. For example, over the last 15 minutes, we have clearly learned that final examinations should not be cancelled. Okay, the opening speaker, from using facts research from credible and renowned organizations, stated, number one, so and so, number two, so and so, number three, so and so. The rebuttal speaker thrashed every point that was raised by the opposing speaker. He stated, number one, number two, based on the above facts and research. If you just do this basic thing, you will finish it off in like 2 minutes and you would easily get 70 to 80% of the marks. But then you can add a certain amount of flair, certain amount of, you know, uniqueness to the speech, but that should not overpower or overshadow the speech. Okay, stick to the basics. 1 minute, opening speaker points. 40 seconds, rebuttal speaker point. 20 seconds, final statement points. Don't add any new points. If I see any Area 45 team adding, closing speaker adding new points at the Division K contest, I'm leaving the Division K contest. Do not add any new points. I keep telling, and people still end up messing up because they feel they should add value by making new points. If your opening speaker did not get time to say that point, leave it. You just scratch it out of your closing speech and just say those points which he has stated. Okay. Last but not the least, make sure that you say all the points of the opening and rebuttal speaker. A common mistake which happens to closing speaker is you focus so much on the opening speaker because it's well prepared and you don't exactly know what the rebuttal speaker is going to say. So just make sure that you give ample time for the rebuttal speaker as well. And last but not the least, you are not even listening to what the opposing speaker is telling. That's one of the tricks I tell the closing speaker. Wear your ear mufflers if you want to. Do not even listen to what the other team is saying. Your job is to say, my opening speaker said this, my rebuttal speaker said this, blah, 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 mic drop, leave. That's it. Okay? Now it's yellow, so I just want to quickly move on to the next topic. Now, since it's a debate is a wonderful place where you can use notes, so please do use notes, but I would suggest not to read from a piece of paper because it's very putting off, but try to have the points and you can probably use that to this one. Then don't address your opponents as, okay, who do I see here? Shyama. Toastmaster Shyama, you said that so and so, so and so. I think you're absolute nonsense. Don't say things like that. Okay, say my worthy opponent stated that so and so, so and so, so and so, and then you can take it forward. So always show respect, but don't show too much respect. That's also there. Okay. Do not mix up that this one. Yeah. This is very important. Okay. So in the final of the ICDC which we had won, we had a topic where it was written that women gossip more than men. Now I'm not going to say whether I believe or I do not believe in that topic, but I was speaking against my beliefs the entire time. Do not show that on your face. When you say that, let's say for example, women, you're for the motion, women gossip more than men, and you do not believe that, act as if you're actually believing that women gossip more than men, and state your points with absolute conviction that, listen, women gossip more than men. So make sure that you fully embrace a topic even if you don't believe in it fully, because your objective, area 45 contestants, is to win the debate. It is not to please the area director or please the audience or nothing. Your job is to ensure that when the results are announced that you go and win the debate. Okay. So now what I will do is quickly move on to, all right. Do we have any questions? Nope. Very good. Will it be possible to get the PPT slides later? Yeah, sure, Shama. That's not a problem at all. Yes, it will be made available. Try this one. Okay. So I don't know whether I actually did a good job or did I put you off to sleep, but there are absolutely no questions, Toastmaster Jiji. So I think that it is pretty good. But since we have, okay, I just need to get confirmation. Does anyone have any questions? I got 2 private messages saying that I have a long list of questions and I'll ask you later. Okay, it's up to you guys. You guys have my number. That's okay. If you want to keep it to yourself, that is fine. Sure. Okay, so I don't think there is any questions.
I don't have a question, but it's just that, you know, like sometimes I feel it's unfair that the team A gets to open and gets to close also. So it's like the starting is also by them and the closing is also by them. So does that make any difference?
And if you have judges do not get biased because of that, I think you're okay. It's fine. I mean, that's how all debates are done in District 105, and we cannot change that. But it's fine, Vibha. Don't worry. As a judge, we'll make sure that we do not give extra credit because the closing speaker had the last of the affirmative team had the last word. We won't do that. So definitely not.
That is a question.
Yes.
I want to know whether there is any weightage and should we give the dictionary definition of some of the words in the topic? Does it carry any weightage if we give, or is it a waste of time?
So, so here's the thing. What I do when I was the opening speaker is I usually spend at least maybe 2 sentences just to define the topic. And that is only to please the judges, old school judges who want to hear the definition of the topic. So there are people who want the topic to be defined, this one. So basically, basically here it's the thing. Define the topic, but don't spend too much time defining it. Okay, stick to just 1 sentence or 2 sentences for keywords within the topic, as simple as that. Okay, even if it's a very easy topic, it's better if you can just do that as the opening speaker.
So since time is of essence, like time is really important in debate, that we should give maximum time for our points. So aren't we wasting time also when the opening speaker says that we are speaking for the motion and then state the topic, the long topic once again, and then give the definition of the words in it. So the opening speaker of the for team is wasting quite a lot of time in that instead of going for the points.
I mean, that is a team strategy which can be used, but I would still recommend to spend at least 20 seconds in your opening to state the topic, state whether you're for or against the motion, and define probably in 20 or maybe in 10 or 20 seconds if you can. If you can. If you don't want to do it, it's absolutely fine. Because if I was a judge, I wouldn't be too concerned about it. But Seema, trust me, there are judges who sometimes want the topic to be defined. So it's better to tick all the boxes rather than leaving things to chance. Yeah. But don't spend too much time. I get your point. You cannot.
Yeah, because each second is important over there, like how, because just 3 minutes. So 30 seconds, probably 20 seconds, 30 seconds gone in that.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay. Jiji, I'm going to take two more minutes because I think it is important to state one more important fact. And
I think there is a question on the chat box.
It's there? Okay, I didn't see that. Sorry. What's it? What is the question? I have shared my screen, so I can't read it.
Yeah. Should I read it for you?
Yeah, yeah.
I don't understand the rationale of the flow of the negative rebuttal 3 and then A4.
Okay. So 1 second. Okay, I'll just quickly. Okay, Srinivasan, I can see you nodding your head. I will explain it. Don't. I wanted to spend more time in the other sections, and that's why I didn't spend too much time here. Okay, so I don't know who asked that question. Let's just go to why it is. Okay, so you agree with 1 and 2, right? So now imagine I'm going to say A1, N1, A2, N2, A3, and N3. Okay, so when A1 speaks, you have 3 minutes. A1 has spoken. N1 has spoken after that and for 3 minutes. Okay, after that, if you believe that A2 is supposed to rebut N1's points, note that after N1, it is very immediately A2 has to speak. So it creates an unfair case where N2 will have both the time of N1 as well as A2 to prepare for N2's rebuttal speech. It sounds like an algorithm that I'm trying to solve. I hope you guys understood, right? So make sure that, and not make sure, we will make sure that N2 speaks first, because then you get only the time of the two opening speakers, and then it goes to the rebuttal. So then the rebuttal speaker will have time of N1 as well as N2. So 6 minutes. So both rebuttal speakers get 6 minutes to prepare. That's it, to ensure equality. Okay. Now I'll quickly move on to the bonus section, which I just added today morning because I woke up a little bit early today. So I thought of adding a little bit extra, which I don't usually do for the other education session. And that is the bonus section. Okay. So very quickly, guys, I'll be very quick in this. Jiji, don't worry. If you guys reach the semifinals and the finals, note that the game changes a little bit. So for the prelims, the topic is given maybe 1 or 2 weeks in advance. You prepare it well in advance. But what do you do in the semifinals and finals when you have, let's say, 15 minutes of preparation? What exactly can you do to make it effective? Okay, there is no science to it, but these are some tips which have helped us as a team. Number 1, 15 minutes is no time at all to prepare. So what you need to do is all 3 of you come together. The first half of it, let's say 15 minutes, 7.5 minutes, Srinivasan, you're not writing, write it down. 7.5 minutes, okay? Make sure that you focus on the opening speech. So the opening speaker, rebuttal speaker, closing speaker focuses only on the opening speech. After that, the rebuttal speaker pulls away from the crowd and Googles what exactly is the opposing speaker's opening speaker going to talk. Okay, so then for the entire session, the opening speaker and the concluding speaker is going to focus only on the team points, but rebuttal speaker pull away and think about what the opposing speaker is going to say. Okay, secondly, please fill in the blanks. The structure should be by heart in your head, that you can take a piece of paper and just start writing that one. Like, for example, first and foremost, the reason, assertion, quote or statistics, repeat the topic. So do that so that when you look at the paper of the opening speaker, you're just filling in the blanks that you want to do. Thirdly, every team should not just have great speakers, they should have great idea generators as well. We need some eccentric people who are going to be there and who is just going to throw ideas at you. When ideas are thrown, write them down. Don't dismiss any idea as a bad idea. Write them down, but in the end, select only 3 ideas or 3 points and focus on that. So make sure that if you want to win the Division K contest, that you have the one idea generator at least in your team. Okay, your favorite subject should be chemistry. Don't start fighting or arguing in the middle of the whole 15 minutes. That's the last thing that you want. Okay, make sure that you have somebody who writes notes fast and just writes them down. These are the 3 points, guys. Opening speaker, be the captain, take the call to say that these are the 3 points that I'm going to speak. And last but not the least, split the research work. So it's very difficult for one speaker, the opening speaker, to find research for all the 3 points. So make sure that you divide each point between each speaker and find one research, tell it to the opening speaker, and then you finish it off. This is very critical because you have only 15 minutes. You cannot reinvent the wheel. Have a structure to your preparation, otherwise it will go haywire and then it becomes a complete mess. Okay, so that is something with regards to the semifinals and finals, but that's something that you don't need to get too bothered about at right now. Right now, stick to the basics, and we will have an amazing debate by 6 quality people that I know personally. After that, we are going to have a debate evaluation by someone who has already been in the podium. I think he has already won it. He's going to kill me for that. Of that, before I even started debating, he had already won the debate contest. Probably he should have done the education session, I feel. So he's going to evaluate it, and I'm sure that that's going to add a lot of value. So if you have any questions, I think Jiji knows my number. Please let me know, and I'll be here. You can chat with me right now. It's fine. Okay. So thank you so much, Toastmaster Jiji, once again for bringing me. Thank you so much, MC Srinivasan, for that wonderful introduction, and all the best to the debaters for the debate that is coming up. Thank you.
Go-to area in the entire playground was what? Any guesses? The seesaw. The simple machine with a fulcrum right in between. Now, for most kids, the best part of playing in a seesaw would be when they push all their entire weight down and the other person goes up and literally flies off. But my favorite spot in the seesaw motion was right in between. The fine balance, the tipping point. Dear Toastmasters and guests, good morning. Area Director Toastmaster Jiji George, thank you for inviting me for this wonderful contest and for enabling me to conduct the evaluation now. So dear Toastmasters and guests, as many of you know, in the last couple of meetings you might have heard that my favorite fruit is the watermelon. Similarly, a debate is also a watermelon. It can be sliced and diced in as many shapes and forms that you like, and you'll get a different cross-section each and every time you do that. However, since this is a Toastmasters debate and you'll be going on towards your club contest and then your division contests, my evaluation of the debate that happened today will be seen from a ballot perspective. The same ballot which Division Director Toastmaster Stephen projected to you earlier. So as you know, the ballot that you saw was 70% content, 30% delivery. It was a top-heavy structure that we have for Toastmasters debate. And in content, you have value to the audience, effectiveness and voice. In delivery, you have manner, correctness, and grammar. So my evaluation today will be sticking to these aspects of the ballot. And the structure that I'll follow is I'll look at the opening of both the teams, the rebuttal of both the teams, and then the conclusion of both the teams. Then I'll summarize for each of the teams together. Now, the topic for today's debate, Toastmasters and guests, is social networking sites are used for stalking instead of communicating. Let's take a look at the two brilliant openers of today's speech, Toastmaster Dr. Seema and Toastmaster Meena. Now, whenever a debate topic is given to you, it's very important to be like the Imperial Great Britain, conquer the land, and not just conquer, but set boundaries. This is something which the imperialists did very well back then. Because the debate topic is like planet Earth, billions of square kilometers worth of area. You can start anywhere you want and end anywhere you want. It's like a 360-degree solid angled perspective. So it's very important to set boundaries to the scope of your topic. That is very, very important, pertinent, and quintessential. Always set boundaries for your topic. How far is your topic going to go? What is the scope of your topic? Now, the key operating word in today's topic is stalking instead of communicating, right? So stalking can be of two types. It can be either by a business or it can be by individuals. As you know, in social media, people, when they get stalked by individuals at times. And at times they get stalked by businesses as well. For example, the 2018 scandal of Cambridge Analytica, the political consulting firm in the UK, which gleaned data of millions of users from Facebook and used it to target them politically for the US political campaigns. So stalking is by individuals or by businesses. This needs to be clarified in the opening speech. And communicating is again of a variety of forms. This has to be clarified as well. In the social networking sites, list the sites. So by doing these three things, you will clarify the scope of the topic, and it will become abundantly clear to the audience as to what the scope of the topic is. Now let's take a look at the opener for the team that was for the motion for today's topic, Toastmaster Dr. Seema. Toastmaster Dr. Seema, few things which I really enjoyed about your opening speech, kudos to you, is that it was very structured, okay? And secondly, you were very assertive and firm in your opening speech. As Toastmaster Steve said, it's very important to exude confidence and leave a brilliant first impression to the opponents as well as the audience. You did that amazingly well. Few areas of improvement was, number one, you had notes in your hand. Now this is just a 3-minute speech, and you had maybe a couple of weeks to prepare for this. So it's very easy to maybe memorize or have in mind those 200 to 300 words of the speech, and instead focus all your energy and give full attention to the audience. That way, if you're not looking at your notes, you'll captivate the audience with your eye contact. So please, as openers, try to avoid notes as much as possible so that you can maintain eye contact and convey your message, because your eyes are also communicating tools. Please bear that in mind. Secondly, the structure of your speech. Now, you began with a case of stalking in Japan. Now, even though my brother lives in Japan, I must say the population of Japan is just 100 million. The population of the entire world is 7 billion. So just in that 100 million, one case of stalking, 1 in 7 billion, is that compelling? Maybe not. So when you give statistics, instead of giving anecdotes, always give it at an aggregate level. Cite credible authorities in that area, international journals, research organizations, and ensure that you give statistics that are relevant to your locales as well. For example, the statistics should either be relevant for UAE or Middle East, or it should be for the globe. Since most of the research is funded by American organizations, American universities are highly funded. So you will see when you search for any statistic, you'll always be directed to American data, right? Which may not be relevant for us. And in this case, it was Japanese data. So always cite statistics that are relevant to you, number one, in the case of the region. Secondly, it should be latest and contemporary. We are in the 21st century. Each day and age, each year is dynamic and transforms itself very quickly. I think the case that you gave was October 2019. Now, October 2019 is almost 6-7 months away. May not be contemporary, but still is fine in the fact that it is less than 1 year. But just bear in mind that it needs to be recent, local, and relevant. Secondly, you spoke about Twitter, abusive remarks on Twitter. So the connection between the abuse happening on Twitter to the stalking was not very clear to the audience. So if you could just bridge that gap together, yes, abuse happens on Twitter. We are all aware about that. It's a very compelling argument. How does that result into stalking? This could have been maybe fine-tuned a little bit better. And in Instagram, again, I believe we just gave one example, and then you spoke of WhatsApp, in which you spoke about forwards and communicating, but still it was not clear how stalking happens on WhatsApp. So again, few areas of improvement would be have statistics which are local, relevant, and contemporary, and ensure that for these 4 networking sites that you mentioned, how exactly does stalking happen? It was clear in the case of the Japan example where it actually happened, but it was not clear in the other social networking sites. So this could be improved upon. And in terms of delivery, you had the vocal variety and you had the gestures, but a little bit of work on maybe smiling would ensure that your audience is disarmed and the message flows freely towards the audience. Now, in terms of the opening speaker against the motion, Toastmasters Meena, you began with hashtags. I really loved the precise structure that you had. You spoke of jobs, business, and service in the international arena. Now, let me just say the topic is social networking. It is not LinkedIn. LinkedIn is professional networking. LinkedIn does not count as social networking. So this point could have been easily rebutted upon, but I don't think it was. So just ensure that you are sticking to the topic, and LinkedIn was not social networking. Then you mentioned an example by Sheryl Sandberg, a data from 2019. Then you spoke of calamities in the Kerala flood reliefs. So in a sense, you had a good structure, jobs, business, and service. A few areas of improvement were that your voice was not audible that much. It was a little bit foggy. And I felt that you were again reading out. Same comment as the other opening speaker. It's just a 3-minute speech. You had time to prepare. So ensure that you do not read out a little bit from the context that you had in front of your screen. If you were not, my apologies. But if you were, this could be an area of improvement. So another area which could be improved upon is if your voice comes across as firm and positive and affirmative, this will ensure that there is passion in your speech and it will bring conviction. So a little bit of firmness in your voice will ensure that your arguments come across with conviction and it becomes more believable to the audience. Now coming to the rebuttal speaker against the motion, Toastmaster Jensen, very structured. You were very clinical in the fact that you took precise points of the opening speaker for the motion, and you looked at the caveats and the nuances of the speech as well, which shows that you were very alert, a quality which is very highly regarded for the rebuttal speaker. And also you ensured that you picked on the facts by the opening speaker. For example, you quickly turned around the argument of the opening speaker. This is an essential quality. You said the Japanese police might have used the social networking sites to take down the stalker. This was very clever. You mentioned that majority use Facebook, but what does majority mean? There was no statistics against it. And Facebook does have privacy settings. Yes, they do have. And Twitter, it was not stalking. This is something I agree as well. The clarity between the connection between abuse and the stalking was not very clear. And WhatsApp was messaging, not communicating. That point was not clear as well. So I really liked how you picked on the nuances of the project opening for the motion, and you were very precise and clinical about it. Couple of areas of improvement. I think you wasted the first 10 to 15 seconds just checking if you're audible and visible. This could be done in the 15 minutes before the debate starts, where you check the audio and video. So kindly do not allocate time, the first 10-15 seconds of your speech, to check audio and video is working fine. If it's not working fine, somebody will stop you. So please trust the system and just begin flowing with your rebuttal speech. Right? And secondly, smile. I believe the smile was missing. The smile will always help. Since we are in a Zoom meeting, we can see you very close up. And even sometimes I forget to smile, which is why I have a smile on my face right now, trying to have it so that you do not get bored for the full 15 minutes. The conviction, I felt that your voice was firm, affirmative, and there was conviction in your voice. And in terms of grammar, your diction was really good. So coming back to the rebuttal speaker for the motion, Toastmaster Shashidhar, you bring in a calm demeanor, your expertise to every speech and every speaking assignment that you have. That's something that I really loved. A few areas of improvement is that I felt your rebuttal could have been a bit more structured. For example, you spoke a bit about the privacy settings. There, I felt you were rebutting the rebutter. You're not supposed to rebut the rebutter. You're supposed to rebut only the opening person, the opener of the opposite team. And I also meant that I like the fact that you highlighted the audio issue of the opening team of the opposition team. This was also very critical. Then you picked on the job, social media as opportunities. A little bit of work on the structure will improve your speech to the next level. Again, smile would be helpful. A few areas in grammar, because correctness and pronunciation also carries marks here. I heard two pronunciations that were not completely in alignment with what I think is right. One was against, it should be against. Second was stacking, it should be stocking and not stacking. So a little bit of structure and ensuring that you bring positive energy and better communication, pronunciation would ensure that the rebuttal will be taken to the next level. Now coming, I know I'm running short of time, I'll just take a couple of minutes more. Now coming to the closing of the opposing team, you again mentioned with good morning, and you asked if you're audible or visible, and then there was a pause. So this ensured the first 10-15 minutes were taken away. Try not to do that. Begin with the flow, trust the system, they will stop you if you're not coming across as audible or visible. I like the fact that it was structured. Again, you used the right tone for closing, Toastmaster Omar. I really like the tone that you used for closing, and that sort of summarized it, because you spoke like a person who comes at the end to summarize. You had that tone. It is very difficult to strike that tone. You struck that tone. One area of improvement is you were probably not looking at the camera. You were looking slightly away from the camera. This sort of shook us apart a little bit. But try to ensure that you're looking straight and right at the camera. This will ensure that we grasp whatever you're saying. One correction on pronunciation, you mentioned rebuttaling. It should be rebutting. Now coming back to Toastmaster Ranjita, who was the closer of for the motion. Again, you know the opening comments of the opening speaker, and I felt that you were sort of reading from notes. This could be avoided. When you read from notes, you tend to have a tone in which you're actually reading from notes. So even if you're reading from notes, try to keep it conversational and not something that you're trying to read aloud. But I like the fact that you were very precise and structured in your closing comments. You did not add any new points. You summarized what the opening said, what the opener said, and then you added what the rebuttal person said, did not bring any new points. You were structured, enthusiastic, and firm. You always use correct grammar and diction, and this was visible in today's meeting as well. But however, you ended up exceeding time. So this might ensure that your team does not have the best last impression. Because Toastmaster Dr. Seema did a great job in setting the first impression, and if you exceed the time in the closing speech, it might not leave the best last impression. So ensure that you end on time, pin the timer, and that will ensure that your strategy is overall well and good. All in all, I must say it was an equally poised speech, like a seesaw that I like. The fine balance right in between, a simple mission with the fulcrum in between. My favorite spot. That's how the speech, the debate speeches were poised today, and that's how I felt it was. A couple of comments. Overall, overarching comments is ensure that you check the audio quality, video quality before the meeting. Try not to waste time when you're starting in between. The first 10 to 15 seconds, use it because it's very valuable. Secondly, set the scope or the extent of your topic by ensuring that you conquer only what you need to conquer, and it's not a huge open ground in which the audience is not very clear about the scope. This is the second point. Third is use relevant statistics by credible organizations, and it needs to be contemporary, as in it needs to be recent. All in all, I must say that it was a very equally poised speech. Thank you, Area Director, for calling me again. Apologies for exceeding the time. Thank you, and over to you, Master of Ceremonies.